All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're digging into a gardening system that honestly sounds a little too good to be true. It all revolves around a simple piece of pipe you can get at any hardware store, but the story behind it, well, it goes back through centuries of what our source calls forgotten science and a history that might have been deliberately buried.
So this is the big question, right? How on earth can a $2 copper pipe be the secret to a garden that basically takes care of itself? It sounds kind of crazy, I know. But the trick is, the answer isn't really in the pipe. The pipe is just the final piece of the puzzle.
And look at the claims being made here. They are pretty wild. A garden that waters itself from below, that shields its own plants from disease, that literally repels slugs with a tiny electrical field, and get this, it gets more fertile every single year, all on its own. I mean, these ideas fly in the face of everything we think about modern gardening, which is usually all about constant work and buying more stuff.
And this is the most important part to get. Just sticking a copper pipe in the ground won't do anything. That'd be like building a roof with no walls. The pipe is the capstone, the final piece that activates a powerful 3-layer system hiding just under the soil. To really get it, we have to build this thing from the ground up.
So let's dig in, starting with layer 1. This is the engine of the whole operation. We're talking about wood, logs, and branches buried deep in the ground. Think of it as a living battery that slowly provides water, heat, and even a steady electrical current.
And you know, this isn't some brand new, untested idea. It's actually based on a centuries-old European practice called Hugelkultur, which just means mound culture. For generations, farmers knew that if you bury wood, you create this incredibly fertile and self-sufficient foundation for a garden. It basically turns old logs into a power source that can last for decades.
So how does it actually work? Well, it does 3 things at once. First, all that decaying wood acts like a giant sponge, soaking up rain and then slowly releasing it back to the plant roots during dry spells. Second, as all the microbes in the soil get to work breaking down the wood, they actually generate heat, which warms the soil and can give you a longer growing season. And third, and this is the cool part, as recently confirmed by a 2024 Northwestern University study, those same microbes release electrons as they eat. Your buried wood literally becomes a slow-burn biological battery.
Okay, so you've got this amazing engine underground, creating nutrients. But there's a catch. Rain can just wash all those nutrients away. And that's where our second layer comes in. This layer is the magnet. It's an ancient piece of technology that catches and holds on to all that good stuff, locking it into your garden pretty much forever. And for this, we have to look to the Amazon, to this frankly mysterious man-made soil called Terra Preta, or Black Earth. Indigenous civilizations created this stuff 2,000 years ago, and it's so incredibly fertile that people are still farming on it today without adding any modern fertilizers. The secret ingredient? A special kind of charcoal that we now call biochar. Biochar is amazing. If you look at it under a microscope, it's like a coral reef, just full of tiny tunnels and pores. This gives it a huge surface area, making it the perfect luxury hotel for beneficial microbes. But chemically, its negative charge acts like a magnet, grabbing and holding on to all those positive nutrient ions. And, crucially for our system, it acts as an electrical bridge, making the soil more conductive and connecting the battery below to the shield we're about to add up top. And that brings us to the top layer, the one you can actually see from above ground. This is our copper pipe. This is the shield. It interacts with that electrical potential we've built up in the soil to protect the plants and deliver some key nutrients right where they're needed. And this is where the story gets really interesting. According to the source, this isn't new knowledge. Way back in 1841, a guy powered the world's first electric clock using just soil and metal plates, and he noticed the grass grew way better right over them. Later, copper mixtures were found to stop plant diseases. It got so serious that in 1918, the British government actually formed an electroculture committee to study it. But then in 1936, right as the synthetic fertilizer industry was starting to boom, that committee was shut down. So this little pipe is actually doing triple duty. First, it very slowly releases copper ions, which are a vital micronutrient that plants need to be healthy. Second, those same ions create an antifungal zone in the soil, helping to ward off diseases like blight. And third, above ground, when a slug or snail's slime trail touches the copper, it creates a tiny galvanic reaction, a little electrical sensation that they don't like, so they turn around and find lunch somewhere else.
Okay, enough theory. We've covered the what and the why. Now let's get our hands dirty and talk about the how. We're going to walk through step by step how you actually build one of these self-sustaining garden beds.
But hold on. Before you even think about digging, we have to talk safety.
This part is non-negotiable. There are 3 things you must never put in your garden bed. Never use pressure-treated wood. It can contain arsenic. Never use black walnut wood, as it's toxic to tomatoes and many other plants. And obviously, never use any wood that's been painted, stained, or varnished. You don't want those chemicals in your food.
All right, the construction itself is actually really simple. First, you dig a trench about 2 feet deep and fill it with logs, branches, twigs. That's your engine. Then, on top of that, you'll add a nice thick layer of biochar that you've pre-soaked in compost tea. That's your magnet. Then, you just cover it all with a good layer of topsoil and plant your garden. And for the final step, you push that copper pipe right into the center, leaving a few inches sticking out. System complete.
Now, if you want to kick it up a notch, here's a cool little optional upgrade. Take a single galvanized zinc nail and push it into the soil about a foot away from the copper pipe. You've just created a simple battery, just like the one from 1841. This generates about 1 volt of current and it slowly releases zinc, another essential micronutrient for your plants.
And when you put it all together and compare it to regular gardening, the difference is just night and day. In a conventional garden, fertility goes down over time. Here, it goes up. In a conventional garden, you're always watering. Here, your water needs actually decrease. You go from chemical dependence to natural resistance. It really is a complete flip of the normal model.
And if the gardening benefits weren't enough, just look at the money. The total cost to build this system is under $10 for the pipe and maybe a nail. Over 10 years, the cost of fertilizers, pesticides, and soil for a conventional bed can easily top $1,000. The savings are just staggering. And this quote from the source really gets to the heart of why this is so different. It says, "The soil builds itself without human intervention." That is the opposite of every farming system used today. It's not about what you have to add every year. It's about creating a system that improves itself. So, does it really work? Look, don't just take my word for it or the source's word for it. Test it yourself. Become a citizen scientist. Set up one of these beds right next to a regular garden bed. Measure your plants, weigh your harvest. You can even check the voltage with a cheap multimeter. See what the data tells you, and then share what you find.
And all this really leaves us with one big final question. If a system this simple, this cheap, and this effective, with parts of it documented for over 150 years, could get pushed to the side, what else is out there? What other powerful knowledge, whether it's in gardening or somewhere else, has just been lost or buried? It's definitely something to think about.
If you find this video helpful, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Help us grow this channel by sharing with your friends who might need this hack. Thanks for watching.